I mean, that game's been on our minds, you know, since it happened all year in the off season. So I mean, it's been on our mind every day. So like, our minds hasn't changed.
When you look at what happened last year, what did you see and maybe that was responsible, and how confident are you correcting whatever those nations in the inside?
Well, I mean, we looked at that right after that game, and I believe that we have changed a lot since then, and I believe that those like things that have been talked about last year in the past, and we're looking at those again, and we'll have a response.
There seems like a lot of their pressure comes from the interior. Last year it was on the edges. What do you as tackles have to do to make sure that pressure's not getting out? Is it helping on the inside? Is it just doing your job and worrying about your 1/5? How do you balance that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like being a tackle. What I learned from being a guard in the past, and being a tackle now, how you set and your pass protection can help, take some pressure off your guards, and as a guard, how you set take some pressure off your center. So I think one, just being mindful, but again, we have like different guys on the inside. People like Matt Jones and Donovan. Are strong guys. So it's good to handle their own.
You guys are CJ is so good at his blocking. That's pretty obvious. That's someone who's better in clean pocket than in pocket.
Right.
Does that add pressure to you guys at all? If he's kept clean, you guys are moving the ball. Does that just add something? Seeing those numbers and seeing just how good he is when you guys get the ball?
Yeah, but I like, I feel like stuff like that, we talked together as an offensive line, before games, like that was our mindset going into, like week one. Like, and after that game, like watching the film, like, when he has a clean pocket, like you see, how fast we're able to move the ball as an offense. So, it's been on our mind each week. Up to this point, it's on our mind last week with Maryland. And so, for sure, it's definitely on our mind this week,
As a kid from Ohio, how did you take last year's Michigan loss?
Honestly, I felt like I took that loss very hard, and it's not because I'm from Ohio, because I never watched the game as a kid, because my whole family's from Detroit anyway, so like, never cared about it up until you're here. But I feel like even if you do watch it as a kid, it's different when you play here, and like when you experience it, yourself, and you're in that situation, then you really know, the importance of being in that game.
I know, you weren't paying that much attention to it, but you probably knew that for most of your life, Ohio State's dominant in this rivalry. And then your first opportunity to get a chance to play that you guys lose. How has it been around the Woody when you guys are just hanging out and when you see stuff on the TV? Like, how have you guys kind of responded to that this offseason? And one, try to get over it, and then try to move on.
Yeah, like, in that moment when we lost, just like looking up at the scoreboard, I, personally, like in my mind, I felt like not only did we, fail our number one goal of when you sign here to become a Buckeye, but I felt like all the past people that kept the tradition of beating them home or away, I felt like, I let them down in that game. So I felt like, as far as that goes, how I felt in that moment, I've been holding on to that, up to this point.
When you got here, they had just lost to Clemson, and so you kind of got thrown into the obsession over that, the score up in the weight room and all that stuff. Has it been that times 20? Because it is the locker room.
Exactly.
It is your rival.
When you get Paris, what toughness has been for there's always for the players different. Have you noticed anything? I know you get a whether out of Coach Day, Nick. Have they gotten tougher? Maybe their expectations, maybe they've been a little tougher on you guys. How about from that side?
I think as like a whole program, the support staff as well, I feel like the entire program has embraced it a whole lot more, you know what I mean? I feel like it comes from like, as far as what other teams are saying and like what the the media is saying online about everyone talks about how Ohio State, you know, we're talented, you know, we have the skill, we have all these top guys, but it's been in the conversation for the past few years since I've been a freshman. But okay, going in each year, it's always a question of, are they going to be tough? For some reason, despite the type of guys that come into this team. So I feel like, you know, we've embraced that more this year than I feel like, you know, what I felt in the past. You know,
when you guys hear things, which were obviously said after last year's game, and yeah, that was last year, how much of a motivating factor will that be when you step on the field on Saturday?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
When you guys hear the things that were said by maybe them last year, you know, I mean, even during the Heisman ceremony, things got said, things were said. How much of a motivating factor will that be when you take the field on Saturday?
Yeah, that was, you know, like, what was said at the ceremony, you know, was targeted towards us, but at the same time, like, his opinions or those opinions of, you know, our offensive line doesn't matter. I feel like the only thing that matters is the now, and I think that's what we've been taught in this program. So I feel like until it's put on show on Saturday, then it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So that come from Florida or from Georgia, but I think once you hear, like, you're like putting that fire of this rivalry, you know, the same. If you're from Columbus, from Cincinnati, from Georgia, you know, it doesn't really matter. So.
Just a game that you were
No, I used to watch Miami Red Hawks. I didn't watch Ohio State. I didn't watch Ohio State. So,
Paris, you said you felt like you like let some guys down, let some of the past Buckeyes down and stuff like that. Did you have conversations with some of those guys, you know, recent Buckeyes and stuff like that, more about the game this past year because of the loss?
No, I haven't. Before that last game, I talked with Michael Jordan, you know, who's now at the Panthers, and I was talking with him, and he was telling me, I believe it was 2016, I think it was the time the double overtime win or something like that. I remember he told me, like, he went out there and looked at Orlando Pace, and he was like, you know, he gave him like a head nod because, you know, he was a true freshman in that game, and he was the first true freshman to start here. And he felt like that whole game he was thinking, I just don't want to let him down. And for him, that was a big moment, you know. And I can't say I've had that special head nod true freshman moment, but I feel like I've made a connection with a lot of past the Buckeyes here to the point where I know all the work they've put up. You see the banners up here, all through the Big Ten championship, and you can't get there without beating them. So it's all these guys on the poster. I'm thinking about that, done it before. I have to continue to do it myself.
How big would it be to avenge that feeling, you know, that feeling you had last year when you were looking up at the scoreboard, like, you know, making good on that? How good would that feel?
That would be huge to do that.
Paris, what do you think of how Enoch and Josh Fryer have played for you guys this year when they've been put in with the starting five?
Oh, they've been phenomenal. Like, you can't really tell when they're in, which is, you know, for offensive liners, you know, is great. Because, you know, if you're sitting at home and watch TV and you can tell somebody else got put in, that's typically a bad thing. So I would say, you know, it's like really nice that we're able to have that flow.
What do you look about like each of their games? Like, what does each of those guys bring to the table?
I would say when I'm in, I don't really see what they're doing, but I think it's kind of like the way they play, kind of like remind them of me, like when I was like a 2 and I used to come in the game, like, you don't know how many plays you have, so you're just rolling off the ball, just trying to hit something as hard as you can and finish. And when you see their game on film, you see them, they're like making the most of those plays, they're trying to finish. And I think that just speaks a lot about the type of players they are, you know.
Harris, coming up watching this rivalry, were you ready for the physicality of it last year, or was it more than you kind of even expected based on just watching your whole life?
Yeah, I would say that I was, but I would say in a game like this, it's more than just physicality, and I think that's the part of the game that, you know, is different. And I feel like going into that environment last year as a young guy, and I'm really seeing the, you know, the hostility in the area. Like, wow, like, you know, for me as younger, I'm starting to take it all in. Versus now, I feel like I can walk in any environment, it's business calm, you know, like, versus me as a younger, I'm like, wow, like, this is cool, I'm really playing here, it's the game. I'm starting to see before, like, you know, we're doing a warm-ups and everybody's yelling in the hallway, whatever, like, you know, so I feel like it's a lot more than just the physicality in the game, you know.
Paris.